He defended the enemy's child with his own body. Now the alien mother wants to claim him. The sky above the planet Kael'thar burned with streaks of green and red light. Laser beams cut through the smoky clouds as explosions shook the surface. Commander Elias Kane crouched behind the jagged ruins of a fallen tower, his armor scorched but still holding. Around him, his squad of human soldiers moved carefully, scanning for the enemy. The Xy'rath, a powerful alien species known for their strength and sharp instincts, were everywhere. Their sleek, silver-blue armor reflected the fire and smoke. Elias had fought them before, but every battle was unpredictable. Kael'thar had been a peaceful planet once, but now it was a war zone. "Commander, we need to move," said Lieutenant Mara, her voice calm but urgent through the comms. "The enemy is regrouping ahead." Elias nodded. He peered over the rubble, calculating. The mission was simple in theory: infiltrate the Xy'rath outpost, gather intelligence, and return. But the reality was far from simple. The ground shook again as a massive explosion tore through a nearby building, sending debris raining down. "Keep low," Elias instructed. "We don't want to be seen until we're close enough to complete the scan." The squad crawled forward, one careful step at a time. Every shadow could hide an enemy soldier, every movement could trigger an attack. Elias had learned long ago that survival wasn't about brute strength. It was about patience, observation, and quick thinking. As they approached the outpost, Elias noticed something unusual near the wreckage of a fallen vehicle. A small figure, trembling and barely moving, huddled in the dust. At first, he thought it was a human soldier caught in the blast, but as he drew closer, he realized the truth. It was a child, a Xy'rath child. The child's skin shimmered with pale blue hues, and its eyes were wide with fear. Its small hands clutched a torn piece of metal, as if trying to defend itself. Elia's heart skipped a beat. Soldiers weren't supposed to save enemy civilians, especially not in the middle of a battlefield. It was dangerous, almost reckless, but Elias couldn't ignore it. He had seen enough loss to know that innocence should never be destroyed by war. "Stay here," he whispered to his squad. "I'll handle it." Before anyone could protest, Elias sprinted toward the child. Laser fire streaked past him, some hitting the ground mere inches away. The Xy'rath soldiers had noticed the child as well, and their attention turned toward him. Elias reached the child just as a powerful laser beam shot toward them. Without thinking, he threw himself over the child, taking the full impact. Pain shot through his body, and the force of the blast threw him to the ground. Dust and smoke filled his lungs, but he gritted his teeth and pushed himself up. The child looked up at him, eyes wide but safe. For a moment, the battlefield seemed to fade away. Elias saw pure fear mixed with trust in the child's gaze. It was a feeling he couldn't describe, an unspoken connection that crossed species, a bond made in the middle of chaos. "Stay close to me," Elias said softly. "I've got you." The Xy'rath soldiers began to advance, their weapons ready. Elias realized that the child alone would be defenseless, and if he left it, there would be no chance for survival. His mind raced. He couldn't fight them all, but he could use the environment. He grabbed a piece of debris, a long metal beam from the fallen vehicle, and held it like a staff. He stood between the child and the soldiers, ready to defend. Each Xy'rath soldier was faster and stronger than a human, but Elias had something they didn't: cunning and the ability to predict patterns. He waited, watching their movements, and when one lunged forward, he sidestepped and pushed the beam into a wall, creating a loud crash that startled the others. The distraction gave him just enough time to pick up the child and move. "Run!" he shouted. They darted through the rubble, dodging fire and leaping over broken walls. Each step was dangerous, but Elias' determination was stronger than fear. Somewhere deep inside him, he knew that saving this child wasn't just about one life. It was a message, a proof that humans were capable of courage, selflessness, and empathy, even toward their enemies. The squad caught up, providing covering fire to clear a path. Together, they reached a narrow tunnel beneath the ruins, a place where the Xy'rath soldiers couldn't follow easily. Elias set the child down gently. "You're safe for now," he said. The child clung to his leg, trembling but alive. Lieutenant Mara approached, her eyes wide. "Commander, you risked everything for a Xy'rath child." Elias looked down at the small being. "It's not about who they are," he said quietly. "It's about what's right." The tunnel led them away from the battlefield, but the sound of distant explosions reminded them that danger was never far. Elias carried the child when it became too weak to walk, moving through the smoke and debris with a single focus: survival. Hours later, they reached a temporary human encampment. Medical teams rushed to attend to both Elias and the child. The squad watched silently, understanding that this moment would be remembered. Not because of a victory in battle, but because of a choice, a human choosing compassion over hatred. As Elias rested, bandages covering burns and scratches, he noticed the child studying him. Its eyes, wide and curious, held something unexpected: recognition. Something inside the child seemed to understand that Elias had saved it without hesitation, without expecting reward. Elias felt a strange warmth. In the middle of a war that had destroyed countless lives, here was proof that trust and bravery could exist, even between enemies. That night, as the camp settled and the fires burned low, Elias sat near the child, letting it sleep beside him. He wondered what the future would hold. Could one human act of courage change the way two species saw each other? Could a child's life mean more than 1,000 battles won? Somewhere in the distance, the stars shone brightly, indifferent to war yet witnessing every act of heroism and mercy. Elias closed his eyes, knowing that tomorrow would bring more challenges, more dangers, but also, perhaps, a chance to prove that humanity's strength was more than weapons. It was courage, it was compassion, and it was the willingness to stand for what was right, even if it meant standing against the tide of war. And in that moment, Commander Elias Kane made a silent promise. He would protect this child, no matter what came next. The human encampment was quiet, but not for long. Commander Elias Kane had just finished checking the child's bandages when a sudden tremor shook the ground beneath their feet. Dust fell from the ceilings, and the soldiers snapped to attention. Alarms began to ring. Outside, the horizon glowed with an unnatural light. Elias ran to the perimeter of the camp with his squad, eyes narrowing. Hovering in the sky was a massive Xyrath cruiser, unlike any he had seen before. Its hull gleamed with metallic blue, catching the faint light of the setting sun. The ship moved with grace, silent but powerful, a living statement of authority and strength. The camp's communications officer called out, "Commander, they're hailing us." Elias grabbed the transmitter. The voice that came through was calm yet commanding, resonating with authority that demanded respect. But it was not harsh or threatening. "I am Queen Velira," the voice said. "Mother of the child you saved, I request your presence." Elias' jaw tightened. The Xyrath rarely communicated directly with humans and never with courtesy. That this alien queen spoke with calm civility was unexpected. Still, he knew one thing: ignoring the request would be reckless. "Very well," Elias said. "Prepare a small team, I will meet her." As he boarded the transport to the cruiser, the child clutched his hand. It looked up at him, fear and curiosity mixed in its shimmering blue eyes. Elias bent down and whispered, "I'll be back. You'll be safe here." The transport lifted off, carrying him toward the massive alien ship. The closer he got, the more majestic it appeared. Its surface rippled as if alive, light patterns shifting like flowing water. It wasn't built for war alone. It was a palace, a symbol of culture and intelligence. When the transport docked, Elias was met by a corridor lined with luminous panels. He walked carefully, alert for any sign of hostility, yet there was none. Only a quiet hum and a sense of profound presence. At the end of the corridor stood Queen Velira herself. She was taller than any human, with elegant silver-blue skin and eyes that reflected intelligence and emotion. Her posture was regal, yet her gaze softened as she looked at Elias. "You saved my child," she said, her voice translated into fluent English. "I have come to see the human who dared to risk life for another." Elias stood firm. It was the right thing to do. No child, human or Xyrath, should be harmed unnecessarily. Velira tilted her head, studying him. "You speak with honor, Commander Elias Kane, yet words alone are easy. Actions are rare. Your actions prove that your species has qualities that I have only heard of in legends: courage, mercy, and strength not only in battle but in heart." Elias felt a mix of pride and unease. He had acted instinctively, not for glory, yet her words held weight. Here was an enemy, a mother whose species had fought humans for generations, acknowledging his humanity. "I do not seek reward," Elias said. "I only protect those who cannot protect themselves." The queen stepped closer, and for a moment, Elias felt the sheer intensity of her presence. It was not threatening, yet it was undeniable. "You understand something many humans do not. You see beyond conflict. You see the value of life." Valira paused, then motioned for him to follow. They entered a large chamber filled with soft light and flowing energy patterns. In the center, the Xyrath child sat on a hovering platform, smiling shyly at Elias. The child's small arms reached out as he approached, and Elias knelt to meet him at eye level. "You are safe," Elias whispered. "I promised." The child's eyes sparkled, and for the first time since the battle, Elias felt a moment of calm. He realized how powerful this bond was. Even across species, trust and gratitude could form something unbreakable. Queen Valira observed silently, her hands folded. "My child speaks often of you," she said. "In Xyrath culture, the bond between a protector and the young is sacred. I wish to understand how a human can hold such values. Tell me, Elias Kane, why did you act as you did?" Elias considered her question. "Because it was right. In war, we see enemies as threats, but every being has value. Protecting life is what defines humanity, not just defeating foes." Valira nodded slowly. "Your words match your actions. I am impressed, more than I expected from a species we have fought for so long." The Queen's respect was evident, yet so was her purpose. "I have come for my child," she said softly, "but I do not wish to take it by force. I wish to understand this human who saved my young one. I wish to offer trust." Elia's mind raced. The offer was extraordinary. The Xyrath rarely gave trust lightly, and never to humans. Accepting could mean stepping into unknown territory, yet refusing could anger the Queen. "I will do what I can to ensure my child's safety," he said, "and I will cooperate with you, Queen Valira." A flicker of relief crossed her face. "Then we begin a journey of understanding," she said. "Not as enemies, but as guardians of those who cannot protect themselves. You, human, have opened a door many thought was closed." For the first time, Elias felt that perhaps the war could be more than battles and losses. Perhaps compassion could change everything. Valira guided him through the ship, showing him glimpses of Xyrath technology, their culture, and the care they gave to their young. Elias realized that while the Xyrath were formidable warriors, they were also deeply nurturing and intelligent. At one point, the child climbed onto Elias' shoulders, giggling as they moved through the corridors. The Queen watched silently, her expression unreadable. Elias smiled, realizing that even a simple moment of joy could bridge worlds. As the day ended, Elias was escorted to a chamber prepared for him. He had a bed, food, and the child beside him. For a human, it was a strange comfort, living among the aliens he had once fought. Yet, as he watched the child fall asleep, he understood something profound. The war was not only about who could fight the hardest, it was also about who could act with the greatest courage of all, the courage to protect life across boundaries. Queen Valira visited once more before leaving. "You have proven that humans can hold values beyond survival. I will speak of this to my people. Perhaps one day humans and Xyrath will not be enemies." Elias nodded. "Perhaps, but that day will take time. For now, we protect what matters." The Queen's eyes softened. "Yes, that is enough for now. Tomorrow brings new challenges, but also possibilities." As she departed, Elias sat quietly, reflecting on the day. The battle had ended, yet a new journey was beginning. He had saved a child, and in doing so, opened a door to peace and understanding that no weapon could achieve. Above Kael'thar, the stars shone. The sky was vast, unbroken, and full of promise. For the first time, Elias realized that being human was not only about strength. It was about courage, empathy, and the willingness to do what no one else dared. And in the quiet of the Xyrath cruiser, with the child safe beside him, Elias Kane understood that the greatest battles were not fought with weapons, but with the heart. The next morning, the Xyrath cruiser glowed with soft light, and Elias Kane awoke to the quiet hum of alien technology. The child slept peacefully beside him, their small hand curling around his fingers. For a brief moment, Elias felt a calm he had not known since the battlefield of Kael'thar. But that calm would not last long. A voice echoed through the chamber, calm but firm. "Elias Kane, rise. Today you will face the trials of trust and judgment." It was Queen Valira. Elias rose immediately, adjusting his uniform. He had no choice but to follow. The Queen led him through the cruiser's corridors, passing rooms filled with alien artifacts, floating lights, and soft, shimmering energy patterns. Finally, they arrived at a chamber larger than any human war hall, with walls of translucent material that displayed distant stars and planets. The space seemed to stretch endlessly, yet it felt intimate, as though it existed outside time itself. "You understand why I am here," Valira began. "Your actions saved my child, but deeds alone do not show the full measure of a being. You will face challenges that test your judgment, your loyalty, and your willingness to act without thought for personal gain. These trials are not meant to harm you, they are meant to reveal your heart." Elias nodded. He had faced danger many times before, but nothing had prepared him for this kind of challenge. It was not about strength or weapons, it was about character. The first trial began. A holographic projection filled the chamber, showing a simulation of a small settlement under attack. Xyrath civilians were in danger, and human soldiers were absent. The simulation presented Elias with multiple paths. He could rescue the greatest number of people or protect specific individuals with known strategic value. Time moved quickly, and decisions had to be made in seconds. Elias scanned the scene, weighing each option. He realized that in war, many would calculate the outcome based on efficiency or profit. But he could not. He focused on the vulnerable, the innocent, those unable to defend themselves. He directed simulated squads, ensuring the safety of children, the elderly, and the sick first, even if it meant fewer people overall would be saved. The projection ended, and Valira observed silently. "Most would have chosen differently," she said. "Most would have prioritized advantage over life, yet you placed compassion above all else. That is rare." Elias said nothing, only nodded. He understood that words were unnecessary. The trial had already spoken for him. The second challenge tested his ability to think under pressure. A holographic Xyrath soldier appeared, surrounded by traps and obstacles. Elias was instructed to guide it safely across a simulated battlefield without using weapons. Every step required strategy, timing, and patience. Elias moved carefully, studying the terrain and anticipating threats. He gave clear directions, remaining calm even when simulated explosions threatened to disrupt the path. The Xyrath soldier followed his instructions perfectly, and the simulation ended successfully. Valira's voice filled the chamber again. "You have demonstrated intelligence, foresight, and the ability to communicate clearly. These qualities, when paired with courage, create a protector worthy of trust." The third trial was personal. The chamber shifted to show a scenario in which the child he had saved faced danger. A false choice was presented. Elias could save the child, but it would result in the virtual deaths of many Xyrath civilians, or he could allow the child to face harm to save more lives. Elias' heart raced. This was no longer about strategy or logic. It was about instinct, loyalty, and courage. He moved instantly to shield the child in the simulation, stepping forward without hesitation. He did not calculate the consequences. He acted on what he knew was right. The simulation froze, and the chamber grew quiet. Queen Valira's eyes held something akin to awe. "Few would act with such purity. You have placed life above convenience, loyalty above calculation. You have chosen selflessness, and that is the highest form of courage in our eyes." Elias lowered his gaze, unsure what to say. He had acted instinctively, as he always did, yet the recognition from the queen felt profound. Valira motioned him to follow. The chamber transformed again, this time into a serene landscape, filled with floating plants and soft streams of light. "These trials are complete," she said, "but the lessons are not. Trust, loyalty, and courage are not only shown in challenges designed by others, they are shown in every decision you make, in every action you take." Elias looked at the child, who had been quietly observing. The small being's eyes sparkled with understanding, as if it had comprehended more than any human could imagine. Elias smiled faintly. "I only did what anyone should do," he said softly. Valira's expression softened. "Perhaps in your world that is true. Yet here we measure worth differently. We see deeds, character, and heart, and you have proven yourself beyond measure." For a moment, Elias felt a strange sense of connection to the Xyrath culture. Their respect was not earned through fear, weapons, or domination. It was earned through courage, empathy, and integrity. "Tomorrow," Valira continued, "you will face a final observation. It will not be a test of your skills, but of your ability to live among us, to guide, to protect, and to teach. This is the true measure of trust." Elias listened carefully. He understood the weight of her words. The trials were not just about him. They were about the future of the child, and perhaps even the future of human and Xyrath relations. As the day passed, Elias spent time with the child in the alien gardens, observing the way it interacted with the environment. The child mimicked his movements, laughed at small discoveries, and displayed curiosity in a way that warmed Elia's heart. The queen watched from a distance, her expression inscrutable yet approving. Elias realized that the trials were not meant to break him. They were meant to teach him. They reminded him that strength alone was meaningless without compassion, that courage without empathy was incomplete. And above all, they highlighted a truth he had always known. Humans were capable of great acts, even in the darkest of circumstances. That evening, Valira returned to speak with him privately. "You have done more than survive my trials, Elias Kane. You have shown the essence of humanity that we seldom witness, the courage to protect, the wisdom to act with care, and the heart to choose what is right above all else." Elias straightened. "I only do what I believe is right. That is all any of us can do." The queen nodded. "Indeed, and yet, what you have done carries meaning far beyond your understanding. My people will remember, and perhaps, in time, your actions will change how humans and Xyrath see each other." Elias looked at the child sleeping peacefully nearby, and a sense of purpose settled over him. He had risked his life once, but now he understood that his actions were part of something greater, a bridge between species, a symbol of what humans could offer the universe. As night fell over the cruiser, Elias stood by the observation deck, staring at the stars. The trials were over, but the journey was only beginning. He knew that the next steps would challenge him in ways he had not yet imagined, but he also knew one unchanging truth. Courage, compassion, and loyalty were the greatest weapons he possessed. And in the quiet glow of alien light, Commander Elias Kane realized that he had not only passed the trials set before him, he had shown the Xyrath, and perhaps the universe, that humanity could rise above conflict, that humans could protect, teach, and inspire in ways far beyond. The day began with soft light filtering through the cruiser's translucent walls. Elias Kane awoke to the gentle hum of alien technology, but this morning felt different. There was a sense of purpose in the air, a quiet expectation that something significant would happen. Queen Valira appeared in the chamber without announcement. Her presence was calm yet commanding, and the small child she carried ran toward Elias with a joyous laugh. Elias bent down, lifting the child into his arms. The connection between them had grown strong, a bond forged in trust and courage. "You have proven yourself through trials, Commander," Valira said, her voice measured yet full of meaning. "Your actions demonstrate the highest qualities of your species: bravery, intelligence, and compassion. These traits, rare among humans in our experience, are what have brought you to this moment." Elias looked up, steady and attentive. "I only did what I believed was right. I could not have left the child in danger." Valira nodded. "And yet your choice carries consequences far beyond that one moment. The child has bonded with you in a way that is unusual, even among Xyrath. Our species values loyalty, family, and guardianship. What you have done has created a connection that is recognized among my people as sacred." Elias felt a tension rise within him. He had expected gratitude, perhaps curiosity, but not this level of significance. I don't fully understand." The queen gestured for him to follow her. They walked through halls filled with soft light and floating energy patterns, the child happily holding Elias' hand. They entered a large chamber at the center of the cruiser. Its floor shimmered like water, reflecting the stars above, while platforms of light floated gently in the air. "This is where I make my offer," Valira began. "You have risked life and safety to protect my child. You have proven your worth not by strength, but by heart. I wish to extend to you a unique opportunity, a chance to assume the role of protector and guide for my child within Xyrath society. To claim such a position is not taken lightly." Elia's eyes widened. The words were extraordinary. "You mean I would leave the human fleet and live with your people?" "Yes," Valira said. "You would be a part of our family, teaching, guiding, and protecting the child. In Xyrath culture, this is an honor of the highest order. We recognize that this bond is sacred, and it would be inappropriate to remove it without offering you choice. We do not demand, we offer." The weight of the proposal pressed on Elias. Leaving the fleet would be more than leaving his comrades. It would be leaving everything familiar, everything he knew. And yet, to decline might harm the child whose trust he had earned. I need to consider what this means," he said honestly. Valira's eyes softened. "Understandable. The decision is yours alone. But know this, your actions have opened a bridge between our species." Humans can be more than warriors. You can be teachers, guides, and protectors. Accepting this role will demonstrate the potential for cooperation, trust, and unity beyond war. Elias walked to the observation deck, the child following quietly. He looked down at Kael'thar, the planet scarred by conflict but still alive. Memories of the battlefield, the screams, the fear, all of it flooded back. But alongside those memories were the smiles, the courage of his squad, the laughter of the child, and the moments of pure trust he had witnessed. Could he leave all of that behind? Yet staying might mean failing the child in ways he could not ignore. The thought weighed heavily on him, but his instincts, honed by years of leadership and life-or-death decisions, spoke clearly. He could not abandon the bond he had formed. When he turned back, the child looked at him with shining eyes, small hands reaching out. Elias felt a wave of certainty. "I will accept," he said finally. "I will protect your child and guide them, and I will do what I can to build understanding between our species." Valira's expression shifted from measured calm to a rare smile. "You have chosen wisely, Elias Kane. This choice reflects the very best of humanity. You understand that courage is not measured in battle alone, but in the willingness to act with loyalty, empathy, and heart." The Queen guided him to a platform in the center of the chamber. It shimmered beneath their feet, and a soft energy enveloped them. "This platform symbolizes the bond you share with the child and the responsibilities you accept. Here you are recognized not as a soldier, but as a guardian, a teacher, and a bridge between worlds." Elias stood beside the child, feeling the weight and honor of the moment. He realized that this was no longer about war or victory. It was about creating a new path, a path of understanding and trust. Humans were capable of greatness beyond survival or combat, and this was the proof. Valira continued, "Many of my people will be watching, learning from this choice. They will see that a human can act with courage, protect what is sacred, and honor bonds across species. This is a moment that may change the future of our worlds." Elias glanced down at the child. Its small face reflected hope, trust, and joy. He reached out and held the child close. "I promise to do my best," he whispered. "I will teach, protect, and care. No harm will come to you as long as I can prevent it." The Queen's voice softened. "Your actions will speak far louder than words. The child will thrive under your guidance, and perhaps, in time, others will see that humans are capable of more than we imagined." As the day continued, Elias began to learn the ways of the Xyrath society, preparing for his new life. He observed their customs, their technology, and their approach to knowledge and culture. Everything was different, yet he adapted quickly, relying on the same qualities that had guided him on the battlefield: observation, patience, and understanding. The child followed eagerly, learning and exploring alongside him. Together, they discovered new places within the cruiser, from floating gardens to rooms filled with soft energy light that danced across the walls. Every discovery was shared with laughter and joy, solidifying the bond between them further. That evening, as the stars shone brightly above Kael'thar, Elias stood at the observation deck once more, the child leaning against him. He reflected on the path that had led him here. The battlefield, the act of bravery, the trials, and now this extraordinary role offered by an alien queen. It was more than he had ever imagined. Yet he understood a simple truth. Humanity's greatest strength was not weapons, power, or technology. It was courage, empathy, and the willingness to act for the good of others, even across species. Queen Valira approached, her eyes reflecting the starlight. "Tomorrow your role will begin in earnest," she said. "You will not only protect the child but guide them, teach them, and show them the values you have demonstrated. This is your true test, not in battle but in life and example." Elias nodded. He felt a deep sense of purpose. The war had shaped him, but now his actions would shape something greater. He was no longer just a soldier. He was a guardian, a teacher, and a symbol of humanity's best qualities. As the cruiser drifted among the stars, Elias Kane realized that this choice was not the end of his journey. It was the beginning of a path that could change the relationship between humans and Xyrath forever. And with the child by his side, he knew that courage and compassion could light the way, even in the darkest corners of the universe. The first light of Kael'thar's twin suns shimmered through the cruiser's translucent walls. Commander Elias Kane stood on the observation deck, the small Xyrath child beside him. Today marked the beginning of his new life, not as a soldier, but as a guardian, a teacher, and a bridge between two worlds. Queen Velira had entrusted him with a responsibility that went far beyond anything Elias had imagined. It was not enough to protect. He had to guide, inspire, and demonstrate the values that humans could bring to the universe. And he welcomed the challenge. Elias, the child's voice rang out, cheerful and full of energy. Come see this. He followed the small being into a section of the cruiser designed like a garden. Light floated in streams, bending around strange alien plants that seemed to sway without wind. The child pointed at a delicate flower with petals that glowed softly. Is this how you do it on your planet? It asked. Elias smiled. Not exactly, he replied. But every place has its own beauty, just like every being has its own strength. And sometimes the best way to learn is to explore together. The child giggled, and Elias felt a warmth he had not expected. This simple moment of joy reminded him of why he had risked everything on the battlefield, to protect life, to create trust, and to give hope even in dark times. Queen Velira appeared, observing silently. Her expression was unreadable, yet Elias sensed approval. Your patience and care for the child are evident, she said. This is the foundation of what humans can teach us. Strength is important, yes, but understanding, guidance, and empathy are what shape society. Elias nodded. I believe that protecting someone is more than keeping them safe from harm. It's also teaching them how to be strong, how to make choices, and how to understand the world around them. Velira regarded him thoughtfully. And through this, perhaps, our species will learn to see humans not just as adversaries, but as allies capable of wisdom, courage, and morality. The first days passed in a mixture of learning and exploration. Elias taught the child simple concepts of strategy, observation, and problem-solving, using games and exercises that encouraged critical thinking. The child absorbed everything eagerly, asking questions, testing ideas, and laughing at failures. Elias realized that teaching was as rewarding as any victory on the battlefield. The Xyrath observers watched silently, taking note of his methods, his patience, and the fairness with which he treated the child. They were learning from him just as much as he was learning from them. Slowly, walls of mistrust and fear began to soften. One afternoon, a distress call came from a nearby Xyrath settlement. A natural disaster, an unexpected seismic shift, had caused buildings to collapse, trapping civilians. Elias immediately coordinated with Velira and her fleet, using both human and Xyrath technology to plan a rescue. In the operation, Elias demonstrated leadership, strategy, and calm under pressure. He directed both human and alien teams, moving between platforms of the disaster site, giving orders and ensuring the safety of civilians. The child watched from a safe location, inspired by the courage of the man who had once risked everything to save them. By the end of the operation, every civilian had been rescued. The Xyrath hailed him as a hero, yet Elias remained humble. I did what anyone should do, he said quietly. We all have a choice in each moment. Today we chose to save lives. Tomorrow we will choose again. The queen approached, her eyes shining with quiet pride. You have shown that humans can lead not only with strength, but with wisdom, compassion, and integrity. Your actions today are a lesson to all of us, and your example will be remembered. Elias felt a deep sense of fulfillment. The journey that began on a battlefield with a single act of bravery had led to something far greater. He was no longer simply a soldier. He was a symbol, a living bridge between two species. Weeks turned into months, and the bond between humans and Xyrath grew stronger. Small alliances formed, based on trust and cooperation. Humans shared technology, tactics, and philosophy, while the Xyrath offered guidance, culture, and unique insights into their advanced ways. Elias continued to guide the child, teaching lessons of courage, curiosity, and moral decision-making, all while demonstrating the best qualities of humanity. One evening, as they sat on a platform overlooking the stars, the child spoke softly. Elias, do you think humans and Xyrath can truly be friends? Elias smiled, looking at the vast galaxy stretched before them. I believe they can, he said. It takes time, patience, and courage, but every step forward, every act of understanding brings us closer. Just like we built trust together, even though we are different, so can our peoples. The child's eyes sparkled with hope. Then we will show them, it said. We will teach them to be brave and kind. Elias nodded. Yes, that is how change begins. One act at a time, one life at a time. Queen Velira observed the exchange, silent yet satisfied. The human before her had proven more than she had hoped. Through courage, empathy, and unwavering moral integrity, Elias Kane had changed not only the life of her child, but the potential future of their worlds. In the months that followed, the Human-Xyrath alliance strengthened. Scouts reported cooperation in remote systems, and joint operations reduced hostilities. The child thrived under Elia's guidance, learning to combine human ingenuity with Xyrath culture. And wherever Elias went, he carried the same principle that had defined his actions from the battlefield. The strength of humanity lies not only in survival or combat, but in courage, compassion, and the willingness to protect others. One night, as the cruiser drifted among the stars, Elias stood on the observation deck, looking down at Kael'thar below. The planet still bore scars of war, yet life persisted. Somewhere in the distance, ships of both species moved in harmony, proof that change was possible. The child ran up to him, laughing, and Elias lifted it into his arms. "Do you see?" he asked. "The world can be better if we choose it every day." The child nodded, eyes wide with understanding. "We will choose, Elias, together." Elias smiled, feeling the weight and hope of the future settle upon him. He had crossed boundaries, faced danger, and built trust in ways few could imagine. But now he understood a deeper truth. Humanity's greatest victories are not in battles won or planets conquered, but in lives protected, bonds formed, and hearts inspired. Queen Velira appeared beside him, her gaze calm and approving. "You have proven that courage and compassion define your species. The alliance we begin today is the legacy of your choices, Elias Kane. May it continue to grow, guided by the values you have shown." Elias looked out at the stars, feeling the enormity of the responsibility and the power of what humanity could offer. "Then we will continue," he said. "Together, humans and Xyrath, as allies, teachers, and guardians of life." The child laughed again, and Elias lifted it higher, pointing toward the galaxy beyond. "Look at that," he said. "The universe is wide, and it is waiting for us to make it better. Every life we protect, every choice we make, shapes what comes next." And in that moment, Commander Elias Kane realized that the war, the trials, and the bonds he had formed were only the beginning. Humanity's strength, its courage, empathy, and ability to rise above conflict, would guide not only the child but entire worlds toward a future where trust, understanding, and hope could flourish across the stars. As the cruiser drifted among the galaxies, carrying human and Xyrath alike, Elias felt a quiet certainty. One human's courage had sparked a ripple that could grow into a wave of change, showing the universe that humanity's greatest power lay not in weapons, but in heart, mind, and unwavering integrity. The child leaned against him, safe and happy. Elias Kane smiled, knowing that their journey together had only begun, and that the galaxy had never seen the full measure of what humans could achieve.